Man has been testing his personal and technological limits since the beginning of recorded time. Finding the edge often meant exceeding his limits time and time again. The test for the ragged edge has come in all forms, the common theme still being to succeed there must be failure. Man's love for the automobile has become a vehicle to test his limits. Man's thirst for speed has also taken many shapes and forms. Maybe some ideas were better left on the drawing board. But when he succeeds, it's a truly spectacular event, and in the end, one always finds the automobile. Why take the chance?
It's the challenge. It's the challenge.
Challenge and competition are what it's all about. That's the only thing we're here for.
10 of the world's best race drivers have qualified to meet yet another challenge, one which will test their concentration, nerves, technology, and the pure test for all-out speed. That challenge is the Marlboro Challenge, bringing 10 of championship auto racing teams' best together in Miami's Tamiami Park for a run at $770,000, a purse paying $225,000 to the winner. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Tamiami Park in Miami. It's a very cloudy and windy day here in the southern part of Florida, but great racing weather, and we're here for the Marlboro Challenge, a special events race paying over $700,000 in total prize money. With me in the booth today is going to be Indycar driver Derek Daly. And Derek, indeed, a lot of money up for grabs here this weekend.
This is very definitely the race for riches or the dash for cash, whichever way you look at it. The machines are expendable. These people want the dollars.
10 cars and drivers are on pit road, ready to start their engines. And let's go now to the front of the grid and the brand manager for Marlboro Philip Morris, Nancy Brennan.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
There you can see the drivers in their cars. With the engines running, they'll be pulling onto this 1.78-mile course for 3 warm-up laps in just a moment before we get the green flag for 42 miles of racing. And here is the starting lineup. On the pole for the Marlboro Challenge will be Raoul Boisel, who's only been in one race so far this year. Raoul will drive the True Value STP March, car number 4. He's substituting for Roberto Guerrero, injured in a testing crash at Indianapolis in September. But before that, Guerrero won 2 races at Phoenix and here at Mid-Ohio just before his crash. He's also been pole sitter 4 times and has won more than $637,000. Outside of row number 1, already crowned 87 car champion Bobby Rahal from Dublin, Ohio. He'll drive the True Sports Lola car number 1. It's been a great season for Bobby. He put together back-to-back wins here at Portland and later at the Meadowlands. And his win at Laguna Seca wrapped up his 2nd straight PPG crown. Rahal has won 1 pole this year and more than $693,000. Louisville, Kentucky's Danny Sullivan will start 3rd in today's Marlboro Challenge. He'll be driving an 86 March powered by a Chevy Ilmor engine. The car number is 3. Sullivan has not won a race this year, but has won on this track in 1985. Danny has been consistent this year, a couple of seconds and a 3rd here at Mid-Ohio. In all, 6 top 5 finishes have put him 8th in PPG points. Emerson Fittipaldi from Sao Paulo, Brazil will start 4th. He'll drive the Patrick Marlboro March powered by Chevy and car number 20. Emo also had back-to-back wins this year, here at Cleveland and later at Toronto, his 3rd and 4th career victories. No pole positions in 87, but a real threat to win in his American hometown. Ari Lyondike will start 5th. He's the highest in PPG points without a win. The car is the Living Well Provini March Cosworth from Himmelgarn Racing. Ari has had 6 top 5 finishes, including a 4th here at Milwaukee and a 3rd at Phoenix. His earnings of $417,000 this year has put him over the $1 million mark for his career. Starting 6th is Al Unser Jr. from Albuquerque, New Mexico. He'll drive the number 30 Domino's Pizza Hot One from Team Shearson. Al was 3rd at Elkhart Lake and also put together a 2nd place finish at the opener in Long Beach, California. He's now 6th in PPG points and has earned more than $474,000 so far this season. His father, Al Sr., starts 7th in the Penske Racing March Chevy. Al has not been a regular in the series this year, but won the big one. At Indianapolis, he became the 2nd 4-time winner of the 500. Although he came to the Speedway in May without a ride. He took over from Danny Ungaius, who was injured in a crash. Only 1 win and no poles, but earnings of more than $623,000 so far this year. Next is Michael Andretti from Nazareth, Pennsylvania in the Graco Racing March Car number 18. Michael will finish runner-up in points this year, but has had a great season. He battled with Roberto Guerrero here in Milwaukee and later took the victory. And on 2 other occasions at Michigan and Nazareth, Michael visited Victory Lane. His winnings total $614,000 for 1987. In the last row will be Rick Mears from Bakersfield, California in the Pennzoil March Chevy. He's 5th in PPG points and will finish in the top 10 in points for the 10th consecutive year. Rick won his first race since 1985 on the Pocono Tri-Oval, and it was a decisive victory of more than 17 seconds. So far this year, Mears' earnings total $485,000. And 10th on the grid, Mario Andretti from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. He'll drive the Hanna Car Wash Lola number 5. It's been an up-and-down season for Mario. Here at Milwaukee, he crashed hard after losing his rear wing, but although injured, did not miss a race. Wins came at Elkhart Lake and at Long Beach, and he was the first qualifier for the Marlboro Challenge. 7 poles, more than any other driver, and earnings of more than $788,000. Al Unser Jr. will be carrying our in-car camera. Now, we might tell you that the starting positions were determined by a draw on Thursday afternoon. The Marlboro Challenge from Miami is being brought to you by the Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Centers. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer. And so 42 laps, 75 miles of all-out racing coming up as we are live from Miami and the Marlboro Challenge. Challenge from Tamiami Park in Miami. Let's go to our pit report of the afternoon. Here's Larry Nuber.
Bob, I'm in the pits. Each driver will spend less than 20 seconds here today, but many are saying it could be the most critical moments of this race. Each is required to stop once, change 2 tires, and hook up the fuel recoupling. Joining us on this broadcast, 2 very stout racers. And the first one, well, you'll recognize him.
Well, happy Halloween to everybody, especially my 2 boys. But right here may be the place where one of these drivers gets the greatest treat of the day, and that's if he can outbrake someone right here and be able to win this race. Now we're going to go over to another vantage point, which is very critical, turn 8 with Kevin Cogan.
Thanks, Pancho. I'm on the last chicane here before turn 8, which leads onto the main straightaway. It's going to be very important for the drivers to stay very close to your opponent. If you can pass him at the end of this straight, you're going to have to be right on his tail coming off of 8 and do it just right.
All right, thank you, Kevin. There once again we are in Al Unser Jr.'s car as he makes his way on this final warm-up lap. And we also have an in-car camera that's being carried by Michael Andretti, and there's our shot from it. So, Derek, as we get set to go here, a lot of money at stake. You've driven this track many times. What do we look for?
You're right, a lot of money at stake. I think the first observation we should make is these drivers will take an unusual amount of weaving to warm these tires up. The Goodyear radios that are really working so well here need about 4 or 5 laps to work properly. So you normally see this weaving on these pace laps, but you'll see more here than you've ever seen before.
Right, the field is between turns number 8 and 9, just a few feet away from the start of this race. The pace car will be pulling off into the pit area. And Raoul Boisel will lead them down. There you see the pace car has moved off of the racetrack now. The cars pairing up in 5 rows, 2 each. Raoul Boisel is on the pole with Bobby Rahal alongside. And in row number 2, it is Danny Sullivan and Emerson Fittipaldi. The Marlboro Challenge is about to get underway. The green flag being displayed by Richard Sterling from brand management of PMG USA, and the green flag is out and the race is on. And it looks as if Bobby Rahal has jumped out into the lead with Raoul Boisel in second. And it is Emerson Fittipaldi running third, and Mario Andretti has passed 4 people already. He was not happy with the fact that he drew the 10th starting position. He has more poles than anyone and felt that there perhaps should be a better way of choosing the starting grid. But Mario Andretti is moving up quickly now as the green flag is out. There you see Al Unser Jr., followed by Michael Andretti, and behind him then is the car of Danny Sullivan.
Michael Andretti, in fact, has moved from 8th position to 4th. Michael has been one of the fastest cars here all weekend. He was right on the pace from the opening lap to practice, and I think he will be one of the strongest threats in this race.
Here they come down the long straightaway, connecting turns 8 and 9. Bobby Rahal has the lead, and Emerson Fittipaldi. There's Danny Sullivan making a move as he passes Michael Andretti and picks up the position.
We see Sullivan use the advantage of a Chevrolet horsepower to pass Michael, who's in the Cosworth car, not quite as powerful as these Chevrolets.
And we have 5 Chevy engines that are in the race and 5 Cosworths, so it's an even split there. And one would think that perhaps the Chevrolet engine might have an advantage because of the length of this race and because it has more horsepower coming off the corners. We understand that Mario Andretti has had a problem making contact with one of the barriers. There's Michael Andretti as he is running in that 6th position. So Mario's race may have ended prematurely here. He is still on the course, however, did make contact with a barrier that has dropped him well back in the field.
We'll have to see later whether it's caused any damage or not. You can give these walls a glancing blow, but anything hard will derange the suspension and cause Mario to have some handling problems.
Rahal, then Boisel, then Fittipaldi, then Al Unser Jr., then Danny Sullivan, followed by Michael Andretti, then Rick Mears. Ari Leyendijk, Al Unser, and Mario Andretti is a distant last as he is limping around the pit. He, we understand, has a flat tire and will be making a pit stop. So there he is pulling into the pits right now. Mario Andretti has a flat tire, and he is headed for the pits.
In fact, he's lost that left front wing, so that is, his day is over. Mario's history in the Marlboro Challenge.
There is a required pit stop during the course of this race, but it must be after lap 10. In other words, with Mario Andretti's stop now, he can rejoin the field, but must make an additional pit stop sometime after the 10th lap. And there you can see the repairs being made on the car as the crew is working on the front end, trying to repair the wing that was torn from it. Here come the leaders, meanwhile, down the straightaway once again. Bobby Rahal with about a second advantage over Boisel, and Emerson Fittipaldi as the field now begins to get strung out just a little bit. Rahal, the already crowned 1987 kart PPG Indycar World Series champion, is leading this race and will, of course, be one of those participating in tomorrow's IndyCar race here at Tamiami Park. We'll be back in a moment with more. Stay with us. Ari Leyendijk, who has pulled off course. Let's go to Pancho Carter.
Looks as though he's had some kind of an engine problem. It's got some steam and some oil smoke coming out of it, so it looks like Ari's day is over. They're pulling him back behind the wall now, and he'll be well out of the way and not a factor for anybody coming into turn 2 here. And it looks right now as if Bobby Rahal's got everybody pretty well covered.
Yeah, it indeed does. Raoul Boisel is second, and there's a great battle going on for second, third, and fourth as Boisel, Emerson Fittipaldi, and Danny Sullivan are running right together on the racetrack.
Of these 3 cars, it looks to me as if Sullivan may have the fastest car. I'm surprised he got by Al Unser Jr. so easily, because he's probably one of the hardest cars to pass on a racetrack. Has a knack of using all the road and making his car as wide as possible. So Sullivan, who's challenging Fittipaldi, I think both are being held up a little bit by Boisel.
The leader, Bobby Rahal, has a 2.5-second lead and turning laps in excess of 108 miles an hour. Here's Larry Nuber.
Well, Bob, 2 comments. First of all, even before the race began, I felt the keys were 2. Number 1, Bobby Rahal. That is, if he has a typical day, he won't be beat. The second key is a full course yellow. The only way Rahal Rahal could be beat today is if we have one of those full course yellows. No yellow, typical Rahal, he wins. Second comment, pit stops. Steve Horn told me yesterday that if they are leading the posture they're in right now, they will go as far as they can in this race, maybe as late as lap number 65 before they stop.
And the rule is on the pit stop, you must change 2 tires and you must connect the refueling apparatus. However, you do not necessarily have to take on any fuel. Rahal is leading. Here's those behind him. Second, Boycell. Third, Fittipaldi. And there is Danny Sullivan in car number 3 for Roger Penske. We mentioned a little bit earlier that Al Unser Sr. was driving a March. He indeed is driving a Penske chassis with the Chevy Cosworth Lola engine. The Chevy Ilmore engine, I'm sorry. There's the interval between first and second. There's second place Boycell right now. It's almost a 3-second advantage for Bobby Rahal.
We see Michael Andretti running ahead of Al Unser Jr. They had quite a dust-up coming down the back straight here about 2 laps ago. Michael had to actually slightly block Al Unser Jr. from an overtaking maneuver, and I see he has kept him behind him and is still trailing Sullivan.
These 5 cars are running right together on the racetrack, and running again 8th is Al Unser Sr. Mario Andretti is down a lap, and Arie Luyendyk apparently out of the race. Let's go to Kevin Kogan.
Yeah, Bob, this is incredible. Michael Andretti outbraked little Al Unser going into turn 8, which is very rare and very hard to do. I think that he has a disadvantage down this front straightaway here, and that's why he's having trouble with Sullivan.
All right, Michael Andretti has moved to 5th, and Al Unser Jr. is in 6th position, and an in-car camera with Michael Andretti.
I think we saw one of probably the best passes again, exactly the same place that Kevin just spoke to. And let's go back to Kevin, who can tell us from a bird's eye view what happened there.
Yeah, this is incredible because this is very, very difficult to pass going into turn 8, and you almost have to scare the guy, and I think that's exactly what Michael did to both Danny Sullivan and little Al. It was incredible the way he got in. Actually, really didn't have him, but they realized that they had to let him through, otherwise they would have both crashed.
So Michael Andretti is definitely the man on the move, as there you can see Bobby Rahal as he continues to lengthen his advantage over Emerson Fittipaldi, who has picked up 2nd position, dropping Boycell back to 3rd. 4th is Danny Sullivan, and in 5th position there is Michael Andretti.
Of course, Michael will hope that Boycell can keep Sullivan behind him, because he really needs to pass Sullivan before Sullivan passes Boycell, because obviously when you have to pass the car, that slows you down a little bit. So Michael Andretti is on the move, but he hopes to pass Sullivan before Sullivan can make a pass on Boycell.
Interval is now up to 4 seconds. Bobby Rahal leading Emerson Fittipaldi, and Rahal is at the moment running away with this race, but some great racing going on behind him. Now it's a battle between Danny Sullivan and Raoul Boycell. Sullivan tries to move to the inside, can't pick up the spot.
Sullivan is definitely faster down this back straight through the fast kink just in front of the pit lane. Sullivan has the legs on Boycell, but Boycell closed the door as he's entitled to do. Sullivan will have to wait till later.
There's Danny Sullivan. Not a winner this year in PPG competition. His final chance to do so will be tomorrow here at Tamiami Park in the final IndyCar race of the year. We understand that Al Unser Jr. is off course and a fire reported in that car, so Al Unser Jr. drops out of competition.
For the Mario Andretti fans, Mario is back in the race. He did replace that left front wing, and he's dicing at the moment with Al Unser Sr.
There is Al Unser Jr., and he was stopped, but he has restarted that car and pulls back out onto the racetrack. So Al Unser Jr. not out of the race, and we have a pit stop being made as Danny Sullivan is coming in for a pit stop. There is Sullivan moving into pit road, and this is the first pit stop of the day, regularly scheduled pit stop, and it comes on lap number 10. Now, as we indicated, you have to stop at lap 10 or beyond. Let's go to Larry.
Comes in. Apparently this is his routine stop, the planned stop. As you saw, the tires on the right-hand side were changed. The fuel couplings were definitely connected, and Danny Sullivan has completed at least what you have to do. But somewhat of a surprise, one of the front runners choosing to pit early instead of late.
I think that was superb Penske strategy. Sullivan could not get by Boycell on the track and was losing time. So let Boycell go ahead, make your stop, and by the time Boycell makes his stop, Sullivan may have a clearer road. That may be the strategy move of this race.
So strategy being played out here. Now here's Emerson Fittipaldi still running in that 2nd position with Raoul Boycell in 3rd. 4th is Michael Andretti, and Danny Sullivan just made a pit stop. He was running 5th. Back with more in just a moment. Larry Nuber, Kevin Kogan, and Pancho Carter bringing you live from Tamiami Park in Miami, the Marlboro Challenge. And some excitement already as some of the drivers have come in for a pit stop. We're on lap number 13 out of 42, and some misfortune for Michael Andretti when he came in for his routine service.
This was an unfortunate situation because they actually got the tires changed, had the fuel hookup, but Michael, as he's done many times this year, has difficulty leaving the pit lane. I don't know what it is. It may be the clutch system in the March or whatever it is at the end, but you saw the engine. He got a bit of wheel spin, then it died. This is a regular problem Michael's had this year, and it's cost him a lot of money in this race.
There are still 9 cars on the racetrack. The driver out of competition is Arie Luyendyk as he pulled off the course with a very badly smoking engine. There you can see how close Michael Andretti is to going a lap down, because right behind him is Bobby Rahal, the leader of this race. Let's go to Pancho Carter.
Well, that's true. It's Emerson Fittipaldi is trying to catch Bobby Rahal. Maybe now that Bobby's having trouble lapping Michael, is a possibility of Emo closing the gap and making the same move he did on Raoul down here in turn 2 to get the pass, be able to do that. But it'll be interesting to see how that works out, and maybe Kevin can give us an update over at his corner.
Kevin Kogan is positioned near turn number 8. Kevin, go ahead with your comment.
Okay, sorry. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the Michael and Rahal situation, because it's going to be very important to Emerson. I know that they have a special little trick at the end of the pit for the pit stop, and it'll be interesting to see how it works out.
All right, we'll keep our eyes open for that. Bobby Rahal still having difficulty lapping Michael Andretti as here comes second place Emerson Fittipaldi, shown now about 5.2 seconds behind in second position. Raoul Boycel still runs third, followed by Danny Sullivan, then Rick Mears, Al Unser, and then Michael Andretti, Al Unser Jr., Mario Andretti, and Arie Luyendyk. Mario with the problem early in the race. He made contact with one of the barriers and ripped off a wing. Al Unser Jr. had problems. He pulled off course but got a restart. And, of course, Michael Andretti's problem came when his engine stalled in a pit stop.
It's imperative, really, for Michael to keep Bobby behind him, because he just doesn't want to go down that lap. He probably has in the back of his mind, well, if something happens with me, maybe something can happen to Bobby during his pit stop. Let's go down to the pit lane. Larry Nuber has Roberto Guerrero.
Well, Derek, before we do that, one comment about Raoul Boycel. You know, by finishing last in today's race, he more than doubles his first money for 1987 with a guy who got the 6 tickets for the team into this race and who's been really one of the tough men on the circuit in 1987, Roberto Guerrero. First to health, it seems to improve every day.
Yes, it is. I really feel wonderful, and every day I'm getting better, so now it's just a matter of time.
With all this money up for grabs for this particular contest, it must have been tough sitting in the sidelines knowing it's a short day. You must feel good, say, hey, I can do that.
Yeah, it was very tough, and I actually picked up the pole for Raoul, so that would have been nice. If it had been me driving, I probably would have picked last. But you know, it's still it's tough. But I know that I have to just wait, and it's just a matter of time before I'm back in it.
Do we know exactly yet? Can you tell? Will it be next May? Will it be next July? What?
Well, the plan is definitely I'll be doing the whole of next season next year, and we're hoping to start testing in about 8 weeks or so.
Roberto Guerrero, one of the tough drivers of 1987.
And Roberto is the grand marshal of activities here at Miami this weekend, recuperating from serious head injury suffered in the middle part of September while tire testing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're still watching Bobby Rahal. Now, he's the second car on the screen. However, he's a leader of this race and trying to pass Michael Andretti to put him a lap down. Rahal with about a 5-second advantage on Emerson Fittipaldi. And there is Al Unser Jr. with in our in-car camera. And Al right now is running in that 8th position. And right behind him you can see is Mario Andretti. Both of these drivers are 2 laps down. And then back of that is Rick Mears.
Of course, Rick has already made his stop. Mario has made his stop. Al Jr. has still yet to make his stop. He's essentially, I think, out of running positions because of that little incident that he had earlier on at the chicane.
Here is Bobby Rahal dropping to the inside of the racetrack just slightly, and he is making a pit stop. The leader, Bobby Rahal, is coming in for his routine stop. There you see the Steve Horn-led True Sports crew. Let's go to Larry.
Comes in much earlier than any of us expected. They go to the right side rubber just as Danny Sullivan, who appears to be his strongest adversary so far in this race, did a few laps earlier. The fuel coupling went in and out, and Rahal almost stalls the Lola. He almost stalled it, but he saved it, and Bobby Rahal, to a round of applause from his crew, does get away cleanly after all.
The pit stop took over 10 seconds. It was slower than the best we have seen. That's Debbie Rahal, of course, watching her husband. Danny Sullivan's 9.1 seconds was about as good as we have seen, and Bobby Rahal's now listed officially as 11.1 seconds.
We saw a little twitch from Bobby's car just as he left our camera position. That happens when you have cold tires on one side and warm tires on the other side, as he just raced on. They only changed 2 tires on one side. Rahal will take probably 2 laps to get all 4 tires warmed up to the same condition.
And now the lead goes to Emerson Fittipaldi. Here he is coming through turn number 9, about to complete lap number 19, and Emerson not choosing to make a pit stop as yet, but he will have to do so between now and lap number 42, the end of the race.
Emerson now in the $225,000 position. Kevin did allude to a trick that Patrick Racing may have for Emerson's pit stop, so we will watch that pit stop of Emerson Fittipaldi very closely.
Meanwhile, some good racing going on here for position. That is Bobby Rahal 3rd and Danny Sullivan in 4th position, and the difference here is $20,000. The Bobby Rahal is in 3rd position, and he could win $90,000 if he finishes there. 4th is worth $70,000, so a difference of $20,000 just in this very few feet. The lead held by Emerson Fittipaldi over Raoul Boisel. Back with more from Tamiami Park. ESPN from Miami, and there you see Al Unser Sr.'s car that did not make it to his assigned pit area. Apparently oil pressure problems for Al Unser Sr. in the Penske chassis, and he moves the car behind the wall. Now here's the situation. The leader is Emerson Fittipaldi. 2nd is Raoul Boisel, but neither of those drivers have made their required pit stop. Bobby Rahal has, he's in 3rd, and Danny Sullivan has, he is in 4th position. So really, when Fittipaldi and Boisel pit, the lead could perhaps go to Bobby Rahal once again, although Emerson has about a 13-second lead on the field, and he could conceivably come in for a stop and get back out and maintain the lead. So that's a question we'll have to answer as we watch for Emerson Fittipaldi to make his scheduled pit stop. We're past the halfway mark.
The problem Emerson will have is the actual stop time when he stopped in his pit lane will be about 8 or 10 seconds. But by the time he slows down and picks up speed again, that's where he will lose the time to Rahal and Sullivan. Now, earlier on, we see Rahal here and Sullivan behind. Earlier on, we said a very tactical move, a good tactical move by Penske Racing to bring Sullivan in because he was unable to pass Boisel. Well, here's exactly what happened. By the time he made his pit stop and came back out, he's now running in 4th place to Rahal, which theoretically I think will be 2nd in another couple of laps.
There you can see Al Unser Jr.'s pit crew readying for another stop. Al has already been in once, I believe. There is the Domino's Pizza Hot One, car number 30, driven by Al Unser Jr., who's shown in 7th position, 2 laps down to the field. Remember, he pulled off course a few minutes ago with a stalled engine, but they did get it back running again, and so he has dropped to 7th, 2 laps off the pace. Danny Sullivan continues to run 4th. There is Bobby Rahal, and there is Danny Sullivan. They're separated by only about 0.3 of a second for 3rd and 4th position, a difference of $20,000.
Rahal, who's very much the star of this season's racing, just seems to have a slight advantage over Sullivan. Sullivan's car has tended to be a little bit faster down the long back straight here all weekend, but Rahal just has a little handling advantage and is just able to stay enough of a distance ahead of Sullivan, so Sullivan can't make a passing attempt.
And there is Al Unser Jr., and he has completed his pit stop, smoking the tires as he peels out of pit road and rejoins the race. Now, Emerson Fittipaldi has moved his lead up to over 18 seconds now as the pace is at 110.7 miles an hour. So a 17-point advantage for Emerson Fittipaldi over 2nd place Raoul Boisel. Neither has made their pit stop. And here is the leader, Emerson Fittipaldi, moving to the inside and putting another lap on Al Unser Jr. So Al Unser Jr. now moves 3 laps down, and we have 4 cars on the lead lap: Fittipaldi, Boisel, Rahal, and Danny Sullivan. So the Marlboro Challenge is past the halfway point at Tamiami Park in Miami. It's a 42-lap race, 75 miles, and right now a Marlboro Challenge and an ESPN Quick Fact. Quick Facts are brought to you by New Quaker State with QSX. Keeps your engine cleaner to last longer.
Flag communications, infinitely more important on a road course than on an oval. This is supposed to signal the others to make way for a passing leader. But it's been very controversial recently. Many of the front runners are saying it's being ignored. But consider this scenario here at this race. Should 5th place passively move over and let the leader go by, when 6th place might be right on his back bumper? And the difference here between those two positions might be as much as $10,000 or $20,000.
25 out of 42 laps completed in the Marlboro Challenge, and Emerson Fittipaldi with a 19.5-second lead on Bobby Rahal. In 3rd position is Boycel, and then Danny Sullivan. Will be right back with more from Miami, Florida. Stay with us. 42-lap Marlboro Challenge from Tamiami Park in Miami. Danny Sullivan has moved to 3rd position. We've had a change in positions the last couple of laps. Bobby Rahal has moved to 2nd. Danny Sullivan has moved to 3rd, and Raoul Boycel is back to 4th. And this is how Sullivan got around Boycel, and it was a breathtaking move.
You see, he tries to go inside Boycel almost every turn at this stage. And Boycel, which he's entitled to do, closes the door, makes it difficult for Sullivan.
Now, as they came down this long straightaway here, Danny is going to dart to the inside and make a move that took my breath away. It's right in front of us. Here it is.
I think that was the power of the Chevrolet that showed up to his advantage there, but Boycel did make it very difficult. Sullivan did take quite a chance on going inside.
And Boycel is coming in for a pit stop. Now, there are only 2 more drivers that have to come in for a stop. Make that 1 because Mario Andretti has apparently dropped out of competition. He indeed has with engine failure. Here is Raoul Boycel's crew, and here's Larry Nuber.
Raoul comes in with a little bit different strategy than many of the other front runners. He changes the left side. They couple up both sides, and Boycel also having trouble. The fuel, you know, that collects in the header sometimes makes it difficult to reignite. The heat on all those race cars makes it real difficult to fire off once you make a stop in the middle of the race.
But Boycel makes it back out on the course as we watch this little battle here involving Michael Andretti and Emerson Fittipaldi. Of course, this is not for position because Emerson is the leader of this race. He's raising his hand. Any indication, Derek?
I think it's frustration that Michael is holding up so much. Emerson knows that he's leading this race, and the move over flag should be being used. Emerson waves his fist again. He's furious at Michael.
Well, he has a 17 3/4 second advantage on Bobby Rahal, and once again we question whether or not he can get in and out of the pits and maintain the lead. He will be coming in for a pit stop momentarily, we understand. We'll take a look once again at a few minutes ago when Fittipaldi indicated some frustration. There you can see his hand high in the air as if to indicate to Michael, move over. Now remember, Larry told us just a few minutes ago in our quick fact the importance of the move over flag.
This is pure emotion on Emerson's part, but I think he'll have to make his pit stop very, very shortly if he can't get by Michael, because if Michael slows him up, he's losing his lead advantage that he has over Rahal at the moment.
Average speed of the race is about 110.8 miles an hour. 31 laps in. We've only got 11 more to go. Emerson Fittipaldi, if he can hold on to the lead, will win over $250,000. That's Al Unser Jr. right behind him. He's shown in 7th position. Mario Andretti is out of the race with engine failure. There are only 7 cars in the race. Mario is out. Al Unser Sr. is out with oil pressure problems, and Ari Leyendijk was the first to drop out of this race with engine failure.
It's surprising to me that Al Unser Jr. is running so strongly at the moment. In fact, he's just trying to get inside Emerson Fittipaldi right here. Unser did change his tires. Maybe he's made a little setup change because that car is running much better than it did earlier on.
Here comes Emerson Fittipaldi. The leader is coming in for a pit stop. Again, he comes in with a 16.2 second advantage. It's going to be very difficult for him to get in and out of the lead. Here's Larry.
Well, we will watch for that trick that we were told or indicated that might happen. They go to the right side. They don't even send anybody over the wall to the left side. Emerson leaning heavily on the throttle, revving it all the way, keeping up a clean getaway. Emerson Fittipaldi making perhaps the best pit stop of the front runners with the exception of Rahal. That's the big question. Where is Rahal as Emerson gets back out on the racetrack?
Gary Rovazzini, who's the crew chief of Car 20 Emerson, is exceptional in these pit stop situations, but he wasn't quite enough to maintain the lead for Emerson.
Well, Emerson Fittipaldi's teammate on the Patrick crew is Kevin Cogan. Kevin?
Yeah, unfortunately, they weren't able to do what I can tell you now. They were planning on pitting on the white after the white flag, so that they only had to do is just cross the start-finish line in the pits and not have to worry about warming up the tires and getting back up to speed. But I think he was afraid of Michael holding him up too much and decided to go ahead and pit early.
Exactly the point that Derek made. Well, Emerson has come out ahead of Danny Sullivan, so he is in second position, and this then the battle for second. Second place worth $135,000. Look how close Danny Sullivan is in third. Third position worth $90,000. So there's a difference of $25,000 here in just a few feet, as Danny Sullivan tries desperately to find a way to get around Emerson Fittipaldi and take over that second position. Bobby Rahal's advantage on the field is a little more than 7 seconds. We'll be back with more live from Miami. Miami Park in Miami as we present live coverage of the Marlboro Challenge involving 10 of Indycar Racing's greatest drivers, and we are only 6 laps away from the finish. Bobby Rahal has the lead, but Emerson Fittipaldi is cutting into that lead significantly. It's down to a little more than 3 seconds. Danny Sullivan is running third, about 7 seconds behind. Coming up right after our live coverage here in Miami, we'll have the golf match. Tom Watson has a 9-stroke lead in that, 9 under rather, the PGA Golf Nabisco Championship of golf. That's coming up live from Oak Hills Country Club in San Antonio. He is 9 under, and Ben Crenshaw, we understand, is 5 under. So it should be an exciting afternoon of golf. Join us. PGA Golf Tour coming up next here on ESPN. So once again, Emerson Fittipaldi with just over a 3-second disadvantage to the leader, Bobby Rahal. Sullivan is third. Rick Mears is running fourth, followed by Raoul Boisel and Al Unser Jr. Those 6 cars are on the lead, they're still in the race. Here is Michael Andretti, who very disappointingly walks back to his pit area. Here's what happened just a few minutes ago, as Michael, with a lot of steam and vapor and smoke coming from the rear end of that car, and as a matter of fact, some flame also seen.
That was a major blow for Michael's car. He did in fact make his way all the way around to the pit lane and stopped just short of the fuel tanks, which was lucky for him. The fire was doused with water, and Michael did get away unscathed, but a major blow for Michael Andretti. We see lots and lots of smoke coming out of the back of the car right here.
Quickly pulled into the pit area and stopped the car in front of a fire station, and Jerry Guys, one of the medics on hand here, he's okay, however, and the fire was extinguished quickly. And there is Michael Andretti talking over the situation in the pit area. He is out of the Marlboro Challenge. 38 laps completed. We've only got 4 more to go, and our pit stop summary, now that all the pit stops have been made, indicate that Raoul Boisel made his pit stop on lap number 29, came in third and went out in 5th position. You can see that Bobby Rahal maintained his. Danny Sullivan climbed to position. Emerson Fittipaldi stayed the same in 2nd, and Rick Mears came in 6th position and went out in 4th. So a couple of drivers picking up a couple of positions as they came in for their pit stop.
Interesting to watch the graphic and see Rahal's numbers of 1st and 1st, carrying on what he's done so well with the True Sports team all this year. Rahal has been the dominant factor and is here, but Emerson Fittipaldi is putting on the big charge in the last laps of this race.
And there is Rick Mears out of the race. Let's go to Pancho.
Yeah, right down here is Rick Mears. Apparently he's had a problem and he's rolling to a stop right here at turn 2 at my vantage point. We just had the 2 leaders go by, and it looks as though Emerson Fittipaldi is gaining on Bobby Rahal, and it should be a very interesting finish.
He sure is, Pancho. The interval is down now to 2.3 seconds, more than a second made up in the last 2 laps. Here's Larry in the pit area.
Well, Bob and Derek, theoretically, they could have done this race in 41.5 gallons, but that's only theory. This is a special race, and the boost knob's been turned up all the way all day. I just talked to Steve Horn, who said, I can't talk to you on the air. What about fuel mileage, Steve? He went like this. He says it's going to be close. They emptied all 6 gallons that were in the pit tank when he made the pit stop, but because of the boost control being turned up all the way all race long, something that nobody does all year, he doesn't really know. Rahal might be slowing down to conserve a little bit of fuel and ready for a last lap shootout with Emo.
Well, the interval stayed the same there between the 39th and 40th lap. Still 2.4 seconds now. Only 2 more laps to go, and there is Danny Sullivan, who is a little more than 8 seconds behind, running in 3rd position, but a very good afternoon for Danny Sullivan. There is the interval between 1st and 2nd. Emerson Fittipaldi trying to carry home the Marlboro-sponsored car to victory in the Marlboro Challenge. Once again, the interval is about 2.4 seconds. The difference in prize money, $225,000 to the winner and $135,000 to 2nd place.
It doesn't look to me as if Emerson will have a realistic chance to make an attempted pass on Rahal. Rahal seems to have just stretched his lead just a little bit on the last 2 laps, and I think Rahal, barring a mistake, home and dry.
White flag comes out. 1 more lap to go. Emerson Fittipaldi raising his hand. He has a problem, Derek.
I'm not sure whether he has a problem.
Let's go to Pancho Carter. Maybe he can tell us. Pancho.
And Rick Mears just said he'd run out of fuel earlier. Emo is slowly going, shaking his car. It looks as though possibly he has run out of fuel too. He's just pulling off onto the inside here, and we'll see what Kevin Cogan can see from his vantage point.
This is the most frustrating day for Emerson. You can see he is absolutely livid with the car, with whatever has caused him to run out of fuel. He put on the big effort.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, when Emerson came by here, he was short shifting, trying to save fuel. Obviously, it was starting to run out earlier that lap. He had quite a bit of a distance between him and Rahal at that point.
So Rick Mears out of fuel, and Emerson Fittipaldi, who was 2nd, also runs out of fuel on the white flag lap as he was about to come down to take it. Meanwhile, here's the checkered flag, and Bobby Rahal has won the Marlboro Challenge and $225,000. Danny Sullivan, by virtue of the fact that Fittipaldi ran out of fuel, is going to finish 2nd and win $135,000.
Emerson probably needed 1 more gallon to make it round to take his 2nd place. That 1 gallon has just cost him and the team $45,000.
Emerson Fittipaldi with his being out of the race. Now we have a race for 3rd position here between Raoul Boisel and Al Unser Jr. perhaps, although our scoring is showing Al Unser Jr. 2 laps down and Boisel only 1 lap down. So Boisel will cross the stripe and finish in 3rd position. Although Little Al was racing with him, they were separated by 1 lap. Raoul Boisel finishes 3rd in the car that would have been driven by the Grand Marshal of the activities here this weekend, Roberto Guerrero. The winner, however, of the Marlboro Challenge is Bobby Rahal. He's $225,000 richer. We'll be back to talk with him right after this. Here's the story of Emerson Fittipaldi as he was coming down for the white flag lap. The car ran out of fuel and it dropped him from 2nd position back to a 4th place finish. The winner, Bobby Rahal. Let's go to victory lane.
Well, Bobby Rahal is here talking with Steve Horn. Debbie, as always, is right by our side. Bobby, a conversation about fuel even between you and Steve. Were you scared?
I was scared. With about 7 laps to go, they hang out fuel. And oh my God, no, please. And I could see Emerson. I was backing off just enough where he was catching me, but I was short shifting and playing it conservatively. I figured as long as I had a 2nd or 2, I could hold him off.
Ready for a last lap shootout, if necessary.
Well, I'll tell you, the last 2 laps, my fuel light was flashing on, and this morning in qualifying it had done the same, and literally when it went on, it quit, so I was holding my breath.
Now, you guys utilized, Steve told me, the entire 6 gallons that were in the pit tank when you stopped. Lots of maneuvering with the boost knob all day, or just have it turned up?
No, I had it up all the way. I was just trying to conserve my revs. When Michael came out ahead of me and he was kind of slowing me up, and we came in to stop, I knew I had to close out. I had to drive hard to, so that when Emerson pitted, we'd be able to get ahead of him in the pits. And everything's been lucky this year. I guess it's just another example.
Not only this year, but Bobby Rahal is the only American Indycar driver who has ever made over $1 million in a single year. Now he's over $900,000 for 1987.
As a matter of fact, the $225,000 he wins today brings his yearly winnings to $918,998. Back in a moment. Miami, 2nd place, Danny Sullivan, $135,000. Raoul Boisel finishes 3rd, wins $90,000. In 4th place was Emerson Fittipaldi, and then Al Unser Jr. Rick Mears was 6th, Michael Andretti 7th, Mario Andretti was 8th, Al Unser was 9th, and Ari Leyendyk only completed about 4 laps and finishes in 10th position. Let's go to Pancho Carter.
Well, I'm down here in turn 2, and it ended up being a very expensive parking lot. Not only did Rick Mears run out of fuel down here, but Emerson Fittipaldi, making his charge for the win, did. And also after the race, Al Unser, who's being the last car towed out of here, is also out of fuel. So it looks as though the race was more of an economy run than it was actually a race or a dash, you might say.
We spoke about the cost of that gallon of fuel for Emerson earlier on. In fact, when he dropped to 4th position, $95,000 that gallon of fuel cost Emerson and Patrick Racing.
A very expensive gallon of fuel. There's the number 8 car, Rick Mears, being towed back to the pit area as his reason for being out of the race officially listed as an electrical problem. Well, let's go to Larry Nuber, who's with our 2nd place finisher, Danny Sullivan.
This is Danny, obviously recognized the sunglasses. Danny, everybody else was concerned about fuel. How about your team?
Well, obviously we were. Rick ran out. That's why we stopped early. And unfortunately, when I got behind Bobby, and we just figured we didn't have quite enough to run that sort of pace. So we turned the boost down and backed off in the RPM. I wanted to stay about 3 or 4 seconds, and at the end maybe turn it up, but then I blistered real badly a rear tire, so that kind of lost that. And then Emerson came out. We didn't know how he got us there, but he did, and unfortunate for him, but fortunately for us, we got put back into 2nd.
Danny, what about that early pit stop? Had you planned to do that all along, or was it because of traffic?
No, we had planned to do, well, we had some contingency plans. If we were stuck in traffic and we thought we were faster, we were going to go ahead and stop. If we'd been running out in the lead like where Bobby was, we would have kept going, provided we were pulling away from the pack. So we were just kind of dancing a little bit there, and it worked out okay.
Bobby, or Danny Sullivan, rather, the most successful of the drivers who didn't have one of those free tickets to get into this race.
All right, thank you, Larry. There is Bobby Rahal receiving the congratulations and being talked to by the public address announcer. Well, PGA Golf, the Nabisco Championship, coming up in just a few moments here on ESPN. Later, we have CFA football with Air Force versus BYU, and then Florida against Auburn. The Marlboro Challenge from Tamiami Park in Miami has been brought to you by Miller High Life. Miller, made the American way since 1855. And by Quaker State Motor Oil. New Quaker State with QSX keeps your engine cleaner to last longer. My thanks to Larry Nuber, who worked the pit area, to Pancho Carter, who was positioned in turn number 2, and to Kevin Cogan, who was positioned in turn number 8, and to Derek Daly, who is with me in the booth. We wish all of those 3 gentlemen the very best tomorrow in the IndyCar race here. For now, this is Bob Jenkins. So long, everyone.